Salutations, one and all! This is my review of the Rwby official manga, chapter 18, and wow, this was a weird one. This is a very, very weird one. We open up with Rwby apparently cutting Torchwick in half, so I was right in my last video. She was definitely going for the kill there. Though much to her surprise, he just kind of shattered and exploded, because he wasn't real, just an illusion created by Neo, as she and Lieutenant Chainsaw show up, and okay, I was not expecting these two to make an appearance here and now, but I'm good with that. I definitely saw some complaints I was complaining a bit, I saw some other people complaining last video that we lost out in the fight that these two had, but nope, they're here and they're gonna fight now. So, alright, definitely a change in the order of events, but we still get the fights, and they're actually probably better than they were in the main series. Well, arguably better. I'm still going to say that Blake's fight with Torchwick remains one of her best battles in the entire series. One of the best fights ever gotten. And just really bummed we haven't seen Blake do something like that again. I think maybe she's used those powers one other time, using the dust to boost her semblance like that. It really makes her way, way more powerful, but I'll talk about Blake's fights later on. The strangest thing, though, about this entire chapter is Torchwick's relationship with Neo. This is his exact line. Let me make myself clear. I may have teamed up with you people, but I'm no hired goon. Meaning that, at least in the manga, Neo is working under Salem with Cinder, and not with Torchwick. She's not his partner. They aren't friends. They aren't lovers, arguably. They're essentially co-workers, and they don't seem to get along all that well. Given that the next line he says is, interfere and you'll be the first ones to die. So, very curious, very, very curious about all of that. She seems a little disappointed when Torchwick tells her it's not her place. Like, maybe what they're going for here is, even though she isn't partners with Torchwick, that she still has feelings for him, and that's why she's going to want to get revenge later on. I really don't know. This is very strange. This is probably the biggest change they made in the entire manga up to this point. I think it's fairly safe to say that, Neo and Torchwick were close, were friends, were partners, whatever, in the main series. Her whole song, Eye for Eye, basically says that Torchwick was the person that named her. They gave her a life when she had no one else. So I'm almost certain that this is a change they decided to make, not just the real relationship they had that we just never saw from the main series. I'm really not sure, and I'm both scared and excited to see what else they change moving forward and how this relationship is going to affect other things. Anyway, then Yang and Blake go fight Neo and Lieutenant Chainsaw, and Weiss shows up to give some backup to Rwby, which I am very excited about. Yes, we lost out on Weiss fighting Lieutenant Chainsaw, but she did not do well in that fight. And quite frankly, I am never going to say no to some White Rose teamwork. Next up we get Yang's fight against Neo, and this goes very, very differently than it did in the main series. It starts off pretty similar. Yang can't get hit off on Neo, she keeps easily dodging all of her attacks. But then we see Yang go a very different direction when she picks up the road and throws it at Neo. Oh god, I love her strength. And then uses that to attack from her blind spot. Neo was able to block with her umbrella, but showing that Yang is just fighting so much better here. The main series, Yang got her butt kicked. She got her butt kicked badly. She was unable to land a single hit on Neo. She didn't try to rely on strategy or deception or anything like that. She just kept hitting her over and over again. And as she kept missing time and time again, she got more and more mad, to the point where she lost complete control of the fight and got her butt kicked. Here, though, she seems to be having a very good time. She's got a big smile on her face. This is already going very differently, and I'm excited to see how this fight ends. We then have Blake fighting Lieutenant Chainsaw, which, definitely a change in the main series instead of Weiss fighting him. That's still an issue I have with both series, is that Weiss has very little interaction with the White Fang. Her father literally runs the #1 slave operation in the world, and yet the White Fang just interact with her so rarely. I am hoping that when Adam eventually does show up, we get some moments between her and him. That'd be pretty amazing. I don't think we're gonna have, Blake and Weiss teaming up to fight him, but quite frankly, it makes quite a bit more sense than her teaming up with Yang to fight him. at least, well, Yang still has 2 arms. And Blake even, justifies her reason for fighting him instead of fighting Neo or fighting Torchwick. She says she's fighting him because they're kin, because they're both faunus, because they're the same in a certain way. She has the right to fight him because of that, because she knows what he's gone through. She knows why he's doing this, so she's seen the horrors of how the humans treat the faunus, but she knows now, after all she's been through, that this is not the right way. This is not the right path that she should be following, that her people should be following. And then we see Blake use her semblance in a whole new way, as she creates 3 copies of herself to hold down Lieutenant Chainsaw. Now, I may be forgetting a moment here, but I don't think we've ever seen her use her semblance in this manner before. I mean, creating multiple copies of herself, that's... I fairly certain I've only seen her use 1, maybe 2 at a time, but 3 here? 3 being solid and holding down the enemy so she can go in for the real attack. That's definitely different, and that definitely makes her way more powerful. It gives her a little boost to her strength. I'd love to see that more in the main series. I mean, I think the closest we've seen is Blake just using her semblance as a launch point so she can jump further into the air. This is next level, and I cannot wait to see more of her doing something like this, because it is really cool. Of course, it doesn't work. Lieutenant Chainsaw was able to easily overpower 3 copies of her, but still, good for you, Blake. This could give you the necessary boost you need to stop being considered the weakest member of Team Rwby. Anyway, then we switch back over to Torchwick's fight with Rwby. And you gotta love him using his cane to grab her hood. It's almost like having a handhold on the back of your head is dangerous and detrimental while you're fighting people. Who would have thunk it? And Rwby goes flying into Weiss, and I really expected these two just to smash headfirst into each other, have a little funny moment, but no! Instead, these two had absolutely perfect coordination. Rwby managed to time her turn and jump to Weiss's glyph, and launch herself right back at Torchwick. Wow, that was an impressive feat, and shows a level of coordination that these two certainly didn't have at the end of Volume 2. They barely have this level of coordination now in Volume 7. So, yeah, that's absolutely amazing, and I freaking loved it. And then Rwby's like, don't you want to give up now? You've kind of lost at this point. And he looks at Asai and says, you would have me give up? Yes, my side is losing steam by the minute. I admit our defeat must seem inevitable. And you just gotta love Weiss. She's like, hey, he's surrendering. All right, Rwby, let's go find something to tie him up with. Rwby's like, no, Weiss, that's not actually what he's saying. He's not actually giving up here. Which does make a lot of sense. Weiss has always sought perfection, sought to do things perfectly, sought to achieve everything she's ever wanted. So she can't really comprehend someone who still keeps fighting even when he knows he's lost, even when he knows he can't win. Then you get an absolutely terrifying shot of Torchwick. I mean, seriously, look at this man. This man is straight up villain right here. I mean, seriously. I mean, even Rwby looks absolutely freaking terrified by this, and this distracts her long enough that when Torchwick fires at Weiss, Rwby turns to see if she's okay, and that's the exact moment Torchwick goes in for the attack. That's some good strategy right there, Torchwick. Distracting Rwby so you can go in for the kill. And then we get a little more evil villain monologuing. The curtain has risen on this show of ours. No matter the conclusion, it cannot fall before the end. Remember this. Villainy has its own sense of style. So come now, play my foil to the last. Rwby Rose. And as weird as it might be, Rwby can actually understand where Torchwick is coming from here. He has his pride as villainry. That is who he is. He is a villain to his very core, and he has worked so hard to get to this point where he can, bring about as much chaos and destruction as he wants, and he's not giving up. He will not stop fighting until the very end. That's literally Rwby. Just switch out the word villain for huntress. She has her pride as a huntress. That is who she is at her core. And no matter what the situation, no matter how desperate or hopeless it might seem, she will keep fighting. Even if she knows she's going to die, even if it seems like a losing battle, she will keep fighting to the very end, the very last second, because that's who she is. She's a freaking huntress. Just like Torchwick is a villain. And then she decides to go in for a freaking headbutt. Oh god, that's something she didn't learn till Volume 5. Oh, I love that. And last page is an absolutely freaking beautiful full page shot of Rwby declaring that she's ready, that she's gonna fight him here and now. Oh, I am very excited for the next chapter, for these two to continue their fight, continue their battle. I feel like Weiss is out of it for now. I feel like, Rwby feels like she has to fight him on her own at this point, so that'll be interesting. Then we still have, Neo fighting Yang. Yang's definitely doing better than she in the main series. I still feel like Neo needs to win this one, but we'll see about that. Blake is fighting the lieutenant, and seems to be losing. Like I said, Weiss was probably going to leave the Torchwick fight here, so maybe Weiss can go over and give Blake a hand fighting him. Then we'd still get the Weiss versus Lieutenant Chainsaw fight. That'd be pretty good. I mean, then we finally get, Weiss confronted by a member of the White Family about all the awful, terrible things her father's done to their entire race. I'd very much like that. So, yeah. This is a very strange chapter. Like I said, I think they completely changed Neo's backstory and motivation or character. So, very curious where that's going to end up. What else is going to be changed by that? Honestly, I'm just curious about this manga as a whole. How much longer is it going to keep going? I mean, I can definitely see them, ending things with Volume 3. I mean, the end of Volume 3 was certainly a high point for the series. And I could certainly see them changing things up to end things properly there. That could definitely be interesting. But they might also just keep going all the way to Volume 7, Volume 8, however many more volumes there are. I mean, I really am enjoying the series, how the characters are written, how they're shown better, how they're just fighting differently. So I do want to keep going, but at the same time, I feel like it'd be hard to plan ahead for writing this manga when you don't actually know how the series that you're based on is going to end. So that and Neo's change in relationship does make me think they might go for a different ending here, but let me think all that down below. What do you think of this chapter? What do you think of Neo apparently not being friends with Torchwick anymore? Very strange. Yang's fight against Neo. White Rose teamwork right there, and Torchwick's motivation, his reason for continuing this fight, even though he knows he's lost. Like I said, it feels a lot like Rwby, She'll never give up, he'll never give up. They're fighting for different reasons, but with the same will behind it. I really like that. Let me think of all that down below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the next video. And until then, peace!